evening from Swansea, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are watching Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. And we are just a couple of hours away from Friday Night SmackDown, and we have an absolute ton to talk about today. It is going to be an extremely packed show. But we had a little bit of chaos before the show even began today, because at one point, there was a risk of it just being me on the show today. You almost had to put up with a 45-minute Allison analysis, because unfortunately, Jordy is ill, and there were some conflicting scheduling issues with Shard, but thankfully, Archie has come in and saved the day. How are you today, Archie?
I'm doing good, mate. Hopefully Jordy gets better soon. But yeah, there's some really interesting topics to talk about before tonight's Friday Night SmackDown. So yeah, let's get into it.
And out of the gates, we have I Make Beats in the comments saying a couple of hours. What's the start time? It's 8 p.m. UK. That's 3 p.m. Eastern. No, it's not. 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. And guess what, Archie, right? I have spent the last 3 weeks getting used to these time changes, which have just absolutely frazzled my brain. Yeah. And now next week, not only will it be returning to the US time, but also the clocks are changing here. So it's going to make it different again, and we'll be going back to the original time.
It's going to be difficult, but...
I don't. And why doesn't everybody just change the clocks at the same time? Because I've never known a 3-week gap before. It's nuts. Absolutely nuts. We have Fernando Zayas in the comments as well. Shout out to you. And without further ado, let's get into the opening topic, because the opening topic today is talking about the road to WrestleMania. A lot of fans online have been very, very critical of it, and I've already kind of given my opinion. And I don't know if it's maybe because I've been conditioned to so many years of rubbish Vince McMahon booking, but I have thought this has been a decent road to WrestleMania. I have enjoyed it. I have been thoroughly invested. And yes, last week's SmackDown was absolutely dreadful. This past week's Raw wasn't very noteworthy, and I still don't think it was as bad as some people are saying, but it wasn't noteworthy. But I just don't really understand the hate. I mean, Archie, I'd love to get your thoughts on this one.
No, I agree. I don't understand why there is so much hate towards it. I think a lot of people are overlooking the matches that we're getting. I mean, where they say they haven't built excitement, but I've seen a lot of fans excited for Cena trying to win his 17th world title as a heel from Cody Rhodes. I've seen a lot of fans excited for what could be one of the biggest women's wrestling matches of all time between Io Sky, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley. A lot of fans were saying not too long ago that Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair is a dream match for them, and now they're saying that they're not interested in it. So there are ways that they can improve the build. It hasn't been perfect so far, but there are things that frustrate me a bit when I hear people's criticisms about it, because like this past Friday when we saw the first segment between Punk, Roman, and Seth together, and people were having complaints that they weren't talking about their Shield history too much, and they weren't really kind of having much of a promo battle. And it's like, well, there's still 3 weeks left to go till WrestleMania, and there's still plenty of time left. They've got a contract signing tonight. So I don't really get that, but I think a lot of where the criticism comes off is we see criticism every year for WrestleMania builds, actually, because I've seen people say, "Oh, take me back to WrestleMania 40, the build for WrestleMania 40." There was the same criticisms last year. I saw for this year, or at least similar, and then I saw people saying, "Oh, take me back to WrestleMania 39's build," and people were criticizing that as well. I think a lot of people kind of book in their head the perfect WrestleMania card for them. And what a lot of people need to understand is WWE actually book WrestleMania to cater to every corner of their fan base. It shouldn't just be catered to one section of the fan base, because that's not how you get more eyes on the product. You need to make sure that there's something for everyone. That's why Jey Uso is challenging for the world title, because his fans want to see it. That's why Io Sky has been inserted in the Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley match. I think a lot of us thought would be Bianca and Rhea, because she's just so popular with fans online particularly. So I think that's a lot of where it comes from. Is a lot of people fantasy book WrestleMania too much in their heads and kind of put it on a pedestal, put their own booking on a pedestal too much to that they kind of think when we actually do get the booking, they kind of think, this doesn't really interest me too much. So it's I think yes, I think that's where a lot of the criticism comes from. But honestly, I think this build for WrestleMania has been very good. I've really enjoyed it. Obviously, Tiffany and Charlotte, although I'm excited for that match, we still need to kind of tweak that rivalry a bit. So Tiffany isn't looking as much of a pushover as she has so far. Priest and Drew need to kind of have some sort of promo battle. But that just comes with time, and we still got weeks to go before WrestleMania. And I'm still looking forward to it. And I guarantee that when it gets to the show, every fan will be excited for it.
I do agree with you there. It is easy to have this idea about a perfect feud or a perfect storyline, and in actuality, they only have so much time on a show. Now, there is a comment from Fernando I want to read out because I do actually agree with this. I do think it has been a very safe, I don't know about convoluted, but a very safe road to WrestleMania this year, other than the Cena heel turn, which is the least safe thing you can do, right? But outside of that, and I do also agree with Lopsided 123444321, hell of a username, who says too many weeks of TV between Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, and Mania made it seem so stale. I do wonder if maybe they thought they had a little bit too much time, and now they're like, oh shoot, there's 3 weeks left.
I think a lot of it was on that Triple H wanted to, or not just Triple H, the whole booking team wanted to make WrestleMania more unpredictable this year, because I think WrestleMania 40, we saw a lot of matches coming that we thought were going to happen. Elimination Chamber last year compared to this year is completely different in terms of predictability. Last year, a lot of people thought it would be Becky Lynch winning, Drew McIntyre. So I think this year they've gone for the route of, let's switch it up a bit, let's make it more unpredictable and try and keep fans on their toes. And I think that's what a lot of fans don't like about it, is they don't like the going into the unknown in a way. They want to kind of know what the deal is. So I think that definitely comes into play for sure.
Yeah, you're not wrong at all. The one thing which you said, which I do honestly disagree a little bit with, is the criticism about that Punk Reigns Rollins segment. A week later, especially now looking back on it, last week I was like, it's a fine segment, but I just expected better. I'm looking back on it now. I actually think that segment really underdelivered. I mean, they were building it up for so long to finally have those 3 guys in the ring, and they didn't really advance any story other than pointing to a sign.
Well, no, I disagree, because I think the whole point of that was, I don't think the whole point was to kind of advance the story, because they've got weeks to do that. The whole point of that was to confirm the match, and the brawl wasn't as good as I thought, really. I mean, it was fine, but the whole point of it was to confirm the match, I think. And I think tonight is where you'll see more of a story being advanced that we want to see. But I didn't have a problem with last week's one, mainly because it just confirmed the match, which is what it needed to do.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough on that. What I personally would have done is actually confirmed it this week. And what I would have done last week in that promo is have Seth say that he wants to face CM Punk say that he wants to face Roman Reigns, and then Roman Reigns say he wants to face Seth Rollins. Because in actuality, that is literally been how this has been set up. So if they're then in that triangle, then they have that brawl and it all goes out of the window. Then you go all this week, puts it all together, or you 3 triple threat at WrestleMania. I think that would have made it a little bit more sensible compared to them just
Mm-hmm.
all pointing to a sign and not actually really explaining why they've had issues with each other for
Yeah.
viewers who maybe might not be as aware.
Yeah, that's a really good idea actually. I think that would have been actually a better way to do it than they did. But I'm still not too annoyed by it. The only thing I don't like about it is I think Roman Reigns is sort of frustration towards Punk is a little bit lazy. He's getting
Yeah,
annoyed at
it
him
is.
for throwing him out of the Royal Rumble match. If it's every man for yourself. Punk should come back and say, why don't you be truthful to everyone here, Roman? The reason you're annoyed with me isn't because I threw you out of the Royal Rumble and it's every man for himself. It's because I told everyone backstage that you weren't the real deal, and I went on a podcast and said that I don't think you're the person to be the face of WWE. And I think that's when you can kind of bring the heat up between
That's
Punk
what they
and
should have
Roman
done.
there. Mm-hmm.
They've
They
skipped
can
too
still do
many
that though.
steps to get to what they did last week. Yeah, but they already announced it.
Yeah, that's true.
Somebody's saying they can't cheer us. I presume that's on their end because I think
Yeah.
everybody else can hear us. Please let us know if you can or can't hear us, but I presume you can. But yeah, they just skipped too many steps through that segment last week.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point as well, right? This one would be a little bit of a difficult one to address without breaking kayfabe. But we know CM Punk came up with the idea for the Shield. He wanted it to be Dean Ambrose, Seth
Yeah.
Rollins, and Cassius Ohno, right? Chris
Right.
Hero. He didn't want it to be Roman Reigns when he first pitched the group, right? And Vince got it. He liked the pitch. He loved the pitch, but said, I
Yeah.
don't want Chris Hero. I want Roman Reigns instead. And
Yeah.
that's what they did. If they could find a way to say, maybe that he brought the other two members of the Shield into WWE, but didn't want Roman there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you somehow did that, that's a fantastic story. It's $1 million story, but instead they've skipped steps and it just feels rushed.
Yeah, you can easily do that without kayfabe because Punk hired the Shield to
That's
take
true, of
out
course.
Ryback, wasn't it? So
Yeah.
Paul Heyman, and obviously Paul Heyman was involved with Punk at the time, so you can tell that whole story without breaking kayfabe. But yeah, I'm still really looking forward to it, and tonight's contract signing should be interesting for sure.
They need to do something, and I really hope. Firstly, I hope that opens the show tonight, to be honest with you. I hope they open it with that and they let them have half an hour and really tell this story. Talk to the USA Network, get the first 30 minutes commercial free, whatever you have to do. Because another issue last week was their entrances all take up about 10 minutes, which is a massive issue.
Yeah, 100%.
We got like 10 something minutes of entrances, and then we got like 5 minutes of promos, if that, and then we got some like rubbish brawl at the end. I think that was the issue, right? Like, it wasn't a bad segment, but it was like this segment, especially with these three guys who always have great segments, could and should have been amazing, and it just wasn't.
Yeah, no, I agree.
We have a comment here from Sean Ellis saying, aloha, everybody. Hope you're having a great day. Sean, DCX Warlord says it was supposed to be Punk, Bryan, and Big Show, but Punk instead went Rollins, Ambrose, and Hero. Wow, I actually didn't even know that. That is fascinating.
I didn't know that either.
Wow, you'll learn something new every day.
I'm happy it was I'm happy they went with what they went with in the end.
Absolutely. Fernando says he agrees the story has been rushed. DCX Warlord says that this is the only predictable thing on the Mania. Was the only predictable thing on the Mania card. And even that, I don't think is necessarily predictable because a lot of people thought it was going to be Punk versus Cody a few days before the Chamber, too. A lot of people were flipping their predictions there. I thought it was going to be a fatal four-way with McIntyre the entire time.
Some people were thinking it was going to be Roman Drew. Some people were thinking Seth was going to win the Rumble and face Gunther. I think it was all unpredictable for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Fernando brings up another good point. A little too many multi-participant matches this year, especially triple threats. I think it's just because the roster is that talented and so deep. They're trying to get so many people on the card. But it is true that, doing a women's triple threat, a men's triple threat, which could lead to them in the main event, a triple threat match as well, if what Punk was referencing actually does happen, which I'd hate, but if that happens. And we could also see an intercontinental triple threat or fatal four-way as well.
Yeah, it is a lot. I agree. I think it being kind of 25 years from WrestleMania 2000 is maybe maybe a part of that. But the
it's not. They haven't addressed that. No way.
No, but, well, I mean, it's no, they don't need to address it though. But it's kind of it's there, and Triple H was part of the Fatal Four Way in the main event, wasn't he? So it's I feel like
I think that's a stretch.
Well, we'll see. But I do think it's too many multi-man matches. I think look, a lot of, and this is probably where some of my criticism comes from the build, is they're probably trying to fit too many people on the card, and I'm somebody that is I'm all for kind of talent first. I support the talent, support the talent over everything. But when you want to make a great show, you kind of you can't kind of try and force too many people on the card and into one story, because sometimes it just doesn't work. Like the Intercontinental Championship match, it's going to be a good match, but I think would it have been better to do Braun versus Penta or Braun versus Dom, and maybe having to leave someone like Penta or someone like Finn off the card? And I think a lot of people have that criticism, but then on the flip side of it, when they leave someone off the card, they're like, why is this person left on the card? It's really tough, and I think they're always in a sticky situation when it comes to WrestleMania season on that end.
Yeah, I absolutely do agree with you, and there's no, I guess, good answer to it either. I do think sometimes they are just gonna have to grit their teeth and leave certain people off the card and just put up with the inevitable hate. Tank Treadway says, greetings from Virginia, USA. Welcome to the show, Tank. We've got Sean Ellis in the comments saying multiple triple threats at WrestleMania just feels wrong. Meanwhile, I Make Beats says that he's here for the triple threat matches. So it is dividing fans. Some like it, some don't.
To be honest, the triple threat matches aren't actually the ones I have a problem with. It's it's just the maybe the fatal. I don't think they should have added any more triple threat matches after the two, because Io, Bianca, and Rhea is going to be, as I said, one of the biggest women's matches of all time potentially. Roman, Seth, and Punk, they can tell a good. Although it wouldn't have been my ideal situation for Punk at WrestleMania, they can tell a great story there. I just think they should have left it there and not added any more multi-person matches. But yeah, it is what it is at the end of the day, I guess.
No, you are right. And I think it's only going to get ridiculous if they do the thing where the winner of the triple threat gets added to Cena versus Cody, which I'm not going to lie to you, Archie, I'm starting to get really scared about, because I hate that. And I don't necessarily think they're going to do it, but I don't know. And maybe that's why they're not properly doing the build between Cody and Cena, but instead just around Cena's change, is because they're going to introduce someone on Mania Night 2.
I think I agree with you on, and I don't think your worries are unjustified, because you heard what Punk said in his promo. He said, well, my dream's over, or is it? And what is his dream isn't to get into the World Championship match. It's the main event, WrestleMania. And it's not, and then he's not going to use Paul's favor to get the triple threat match to main event WrestleMania. That would be the most laziest way to use
I hope it's that, just so it's not the alternative. Well, I don't want it to be that, but just so it's not the alternative. It's awful. But
it wouldn't make sense. The alternative in that him getting added to Cody and Cena, that's honestly that's better, because then that makes sense. Because what's the point in but what's the point in using a favor to get into the main event of night one of WrestleMania.
No, that absolutely sucks too, right? What they actually should do is just say to a title shot down the road, you become the new number one contender. That's what I'd personally do.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the smart play here. But here's the thing. Cody, a babyface Cody, the new company guy, the guy the fans are behind, versus the guy who they were behind for decades, who's now turned heel. That is a perfect 1v1 storyline. That is a perfect feud. And it's not heated up enough in the last couple of weeks, my personal liking. I loved the first week segment. The second week segment, I thought, kind of missed the mark a little bit. But I still think you got 3 weeks, so it's okay. If you add someone else, you've just thrown that money in the drain.
They may be... Could it be that they're added into the Gunther and Jey Uso match, and then that main event's night one? Because... although that would be a swerve, we have seen plenty of swerves. No, it's not. You're right, but
I don't like it. You just chuck in the what you've been saying on air for weeks and weeks and weeks. Something has just come to me though, Archie. Right? What if what happens is CM Punk wins the triple threat, gets added to the main event, Cena versus Cody versus Punk.
Yeah.
And the reason they do that is so Cody can lose the title without losing to John Cena, because the plan will be for Cody to win the title back off John Cena. Maybe that is what it is.
But then again, look, I wouldn't love it, but I wouldn't hate it like you, like to the lengths that you would. But Cody can take a pinfall loss to Cena, and it would not hurt him one bit. It would not be one knock on his armor at all. Do you know what I mean? It's not gonna.
Oh no, I don't. I have no issue with Cody losing.
No,
I actually think he should
what
lose.
I mean.
But I just keep it. I just have Cena beat him, to be honest with you. Cheat to beat him even, and you can still have Cody beat him again down the line. Fernando says something which I think is bang on. The Rock is being too absent. Now, I don't mean that in person, because obviously he's got scheduling conflicts.
Yeah.
I mean that as in, they've not mentioned him. Cena joined him and hasn't mentioned him.
But this is something that I talked with Clark on the Tuesday show on the Raw Review, and this actually makes a lot of sense that Cena hasn't mentioned The Rock or hasn't mentioned Cody much at all, because that's his whole character. He doesn't want to give people answers. He doesn't want to give the fans what they want. He wants to keep them guessing. What I do find odd is Cody not mentioning The Rock once. That's what I find odd.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, is that I think hopefully on Raw in London we'll see Cody try and force some answers out of Cena, because we do need to start getting them soon for sure.
Absolutely. Also, friend of the show, Mex, WrestleManiac UK, he was mentioning this the other day on a podcast I saw. He was talking about how Cody did this big talk about how he was going to, go after John Cena, and then John Cena showed up and he's just had a conversation with him 2 weeks in a row too. I mean, he's not like an absolute fool when it comes to that.
Oh yeah, 100%. But well, I guess that on the first week I give it a pass, because he's Cody's probably thinking in his head, this is somebody that I've looked up to. This is somebody everybody in the business has looked up to. We should at least hear him out, I guess. And after the kind of dust has settled on his frustration getting beat up at Elimination Chamber, the second week he shouldn't have just waited for Cena to throw the first punch. He should have just thrown the first punch straight away. You know what I mean? I completely agree with that. I think Cody's looking a bit, and not to go into my inner Clark here, he's looking a bit kind of soft, I think, in a way.
It's all those tire clips. But let's now move on, and let's talk about legends, shall we? It's Friday, and I wanted to do a little bit of a fun topic, right? So, Archie, if you could pick any wrestler from the history of WWE to bring back and put in today's modern-day roster, who would it be?
So this is this was a very fun question to think about. And I didn't go too far back to think about who I wanted to bring back, because I'm somebody that was grew up in the PG era of WWE, and this person was a focal point of the product when I was watching it. I'd love to see AJ Lee return back to WWE and just kind of being able to see how much she's been able to change the women's division for the better, and being able to take part in this women's evolution. You can see her face somebody like, there's so many different potential matchups for AJ Lee. Honestly, there's Roxanne Perez, somebody that idolizes AJ, and somebody that said that she's not going to retire unless she gets an AJ Lee match. So she might be going for a long time before she gets that. But Becky Lynch as well. We know AJ and Becky's husbands have some beef. So, not only that, but that'll be a fantastic match. You're talking about AJ, the top of the women's division in her time. Becky Lynch, the top of the women's division in her prime as well. So, there's Becky Lynch, there's Rhea Ripley, there's the newer international stars that have come into NXT, like Julia, Stephanie Vaquer. There's so many potential options, and I just love to see AJ back, because I think she deserves to be a part of this women's evolution that she fought so hard for. And the way her career ended was really upsetting in a way, because I think there's a lot more that could have been done that she could have done. It doesn't need to be a long run, obviously, because we know she's had injury issues and stuff.
Yeah.
And she's got a lot of other stuff going on in terms of doing some really cool kind of like producing stuff, like producing films and things like that. But I think AJ Lee, to me, it's funny, because I was thinking, right, I'm going to say the first name that comes to my head, because that usually means that's the person subconsciously you want to see back.
Yeah. No, it's a great
and I just love to see AJ back, and kind of be able to see or kind of live through that women's evolution that she fought for so hard.
And the thing about that one is, it genuinely, I think, could happen as well, right?
Yeah,
I mean, maybe it's a little unlikely, but it's still possible. Mine, on the other hand, does feature, the beauty of this question, which is you can wind back the clock a little bit. We're taking some years off his age. I missed The Undertaker. He was so central to the product for so many years, right? If we could bring back 2007 Undertaker, 2008 Undertaker to this product right now, he'd be having bangers, but also he'd be fitting a role, which I do think is missing as well. So I would just love to see him back. The streak as well. I miss it so much.
The Undertaker's one of when people ask me who's some of my favorites in wrestling, I always tell them the same five. It's Cena, Punk, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and The Undertaker. The Undertaker, his battles with Shawn Michaels and Triple H is something that is memories that I'll remember forever in wrestling. So I'll be well up for a last run from the dead man if well, obviously that's not going to be possible now, but
but if we could wind back the clock, right?
If we could wind it back, I'd love it. Absolutely.
If he ages backwards, I Make Beats says Mankind, Cactus Jack, Dude Love, all of them. You want Mick Foley back. Sean Ellis says he does not want to see Hulk Hogan back. I agree with that. Yeah, I Make 100%. Beats wants the old Randy Orton back. I mean, that would be fantastic.
Let me ask you this: if The Undertaker was back in today's WWE roster, what would be the one match that you'd want to see him face?
Oh, that's difficult.
For me, it'd be Gunther.
Do you know what? I think that would under-deliver. Could he never work the best matches against hard hitters? He had a few.
True, but I don't know. I think Taker's such a fan of Gunther, and I think their styles would mesh incredibly well, I think.
Seth
also, if you're talking about that,
actually think would be
Seth Rollins. That's a great shout. That's a great shout. I'm surprised he never actually faced Taker. to be honest.
Yeah, I know. But before we move on to the next topic, I'll quickly read out some comments. Fernando says he would like to see Paige and Nikki Bella come back again, two actual very possible ones as well. Fernando says Stone Cold, the GOAT, Steve Austin from 96 to 98. And D6 Warlord says Aleister Black or Spears.
Shawn Spears?
Oh, right, sorry, against The Undertaker. Oh,
Yeah,
Aleister Black versus... Right, I don't know. I've got no interest in Shawn Spears versus The Undertaker, to be honest with you, but Aleister Black, absolutely.
I thought that was their answer to the one legend to bring that.
But Mandy Rose is not happy, and neither are fans at her, right? Because basically, NXT are saying that Stephanie Vaquette is the first ever NXT double women's champion. Now, I've got a hot take, Archie, right? Because I think Mandy Rose has said some stuff recently which I don't agree with. Yeah. But I actually do think she's technically right here. Because the NXT UK Women's Championship was a women's championship under the banner. And some people are saying, well, she unified them straight after. Well, it doesn't matter. And you also don't need to defend them to be considered a double champion. You just need to have both titles. And she did that. You can argue Stephanie's a far better double champion because she is defending them both instead of unifying them. But the fact is, temporarily, she was a double champion. So I think fans are actually being a little unfair to her on this one. But what are your thoughts?
I think the frustration, or not the frustration, I think Mandy Rose's frustration is a little over the top. Look, Mandy is somebody that was a highlight of NXT 2.0 in a pretty dire kind of product, I thought. But she was fun. Don't know what your kind of definition of fun is, Ben, but we'll skip past it. But Mandy Rose was a highlight of a pretty dire product. But I mean, look, this is a bit over the top. She beat Meiko. She beat Meiko Satomura for the NXT UK Women's UK Championship, didn't she? But she showed up on TV with it once. Like I don't agree with that. You don't have to defend it to be a double champion. You have to.
That's fact. You don't. Factually, you don't. In the UFC, for example, I think there's only been I think there might have only been one champion ever who's defended both of the belts.
Yeah, but they unify.
Yeah, I know that they don't unify it. Obviously, they relinquish it after. They relinquish one of them after, usually. But that's still, technically, even if you're a double champion for a minute, you're a double champion. Okay. And I do think by the, matter of fact, Mandy Rose technically is the first NXT women's double champion.
Matter of fact. You're right, but here's the thing. This is where this is. End the segment. Look. I understand why WWE just completely forgot, purposely forgot about her, because you're talking about Stephanie Vaquette, who's one of the best wrestlers in the world, somebody that I think will be up there when she makes her main roster debut properly. She's going to be up there. It's not going to take long for her to be on the popularity of Rhea Ripley and Tiffany Stratton. She's that good. She's that big of a star.
Way bigger star.
Yeah. So the thing is you want to make that achievement feel bigger. You want to make that achievement feel more monumental. And I think, and it's unfortunately Mandy Rose's double champion title reign, which lasted a whole week, is going to be a casualty in that. Sorry, Mandy, but it's going to be.
You can't lie though. We can't be like Stephanie Vaquette. I agree with you. Is going to be one of the biggest women's stars ever. But you can't just. Well, they have. I thought we were in the reality era now. We're telling the truth. Triple H is lying.
Go on. Sorry.
I was just going to read out some of these comments. Sean Ellis, that's a bit mean. I'm not going to read that one out. Fernando says Mandy is making an excellent point, but Stephanie is better. I mean, there's no.
Stephanie is 100% better.
Yeah, I don't. Nobody's arguing that.
The thing about Stephanie now is when I think about if somebody asks me who do I want to see Rhea Ripley face, who do I want to see Io Sky face, every single time who do I want to see Bianca Belair face? Every single time the first name to my head is Stephanie Vaquette, because she's She's that good, and she's going to be that big of a star. So you've got to make that moment of her being a double champion, the real double champion, harnessing my inner Phil Brooks there, is the right move. I'm sorry, Mandy. That's your one-day reign is going to be a casualty. I'm sorry.
I'm still more of a Julia person. I'm still Team Julia over Team
I
Stephanie.
love them. I love them. I love them both.
I love them both too, but I'm still Team Julia. I'll be all the way. I'm gonna be.
I'd probably agree, because I like to be different, and a lot of fans like Stephanie more than Julia. But I agree. I love Julia as well.
Right. So weekend preview. Before we actually get to SmackDown and Collision, talking about those, I actually want to tell you about the show I'm really, really excited for this weekend, and that is Progress Wrestling Chapter 178, Fix Your Hearts. It is going to be in the Electric Ballroom, my personal favorite venue for professional wrestling. The crowd is going to be absolutely electric, and the card is electric too. We have Trent Seven versus Cara Noir, Michael Oku in action against Miles Kamen, Eddie Dennis versus Tate Mayvez, ending their year-long feud, rivalry, whatever you want to call it, in a last man standing match. That is going to be huge. We have Nina Samuels versus a returning Millie McKenzie. I have been a big fan of Millie McKenzie for years and years and years. I'm so glad she's back in Progress, and I am excited for that one. We're going to be having Simon Miller defending the Proteus Championship against Gene Money, and for the Progress Tag Team Championships, the Smoking Aces will be taking on Sunshine Machine once again. Really exciting card, and you guys can watch it on demand. Progress Plus, the home of Progress Defy, and more. And if you use code WatchProgress1, you get 50% off your first month on demand. Progress Plus, the home of Progress Defy, and more. Really excited for that, but I'm also really excited for SmackDown in an hour and 23 minutes, Archie, because card for that is as follows. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk will sign a contract for their match at WrestleMania. Hopefully, like we talked about earlier, this one will be a bit better than last week. Also, listen, I'm going to be honest, maybe I've been living under a rock. Did you know Cody Rhodes is going to be on SmackDown tonight?
No, I didn't. I didn't think they advertised that.
This might be news. Cody Rhodes, and this is on the WWE official website too, by the way. Cody Rhodes is kicking off SmackDown tonight. So, I mean, that's going to be exciting.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
Maybe is that even news, or maybe we're both living under a rock?
I'm going to be honest. I think we might both be living under a rock on this one. But that's happening. One thing I did know about is LA Knight versus Braun Strowman for the United States Championship. And of course, the Tag Team Championship match. I am putting all my good energy, good karma into it to root for my boys, the Yes Boys. Pretty Deadly taking on the Street Profits. Please, 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 can they win? I want to see Pretty Deadly with those belts. Archie, are you excited for this show?
I'm extremely excited for this show. It's in London. It's going to be in front of a hot crowd. The triple threat contract signing is going to be electric. As we spoke about earlier, hopefully they get some more shots in on each other. And I'm interested to see what that favor is going to be. I've got a feeling it's going to come up in this. Braun Strowman and LA Knight is interesting, I guess. And then the tag team title match is going to be absolutely awesome. The Street Profits against Pretty Deadly. And I'm probably with you on this one. Hopefully the hometown boys win
yes.
Or the home country boys, sorry. Home country boys. Hopefully they get the tag titles. Let's hot potato it again. Come on, WWE. Come on, Triple H. Hot potato.
The thing is, I'm divided because Pretty Deadly deserve it, and I truthfully want them to win it, right? Yeah. But at the same time, the Street Profits deserve a proper reign. I'm guessing what they're going to do is they're going to flip-flop all these titles. They're going to flip them to Pretty Deadly, and then maybe Legado are going to win them before Mania, and then all of the teams involved would have won the titles before Mania. And then they do a ladder match. I don't know.
I've got to be honest. I think unfortunately Pretty Deadly are going to be losing this, and I think what's going to be happening at I think what's going to be happening at Mania is shout out to Anthony, head of opinions, who first said this to me, that he thinks it's going to be a triangle ladder match. And I think that's what it's going to be, with DIY, the Guns, and the Profits, because it's 25 years from that first triangle ladder match, the famous one.
5-way.
No, make it a triangle.
It
5-way.
will. It'll be a 5-way.
That's way too much.
Guarantee you. I guarantee you it's going to be a 5-way.
10 wrestlers.
I'm not saying it's what they should do, but I'm saying it's what they're going to do. They're not. No way if they. I'll be fuming if they built this 5-way story perfectly, and then last minute they're like, screw it. A 5th triple threat match on the card. I mean, it's ludicrous.
Legado's been pushed aside now, right? And they're going to push Pretty Deadly aside, and it's going to be...
They haven't been.
They're going to push... Legado have. Yes, they have.
No, they haven't been. They got screwed last week.
They still lost.
Yeah, but they're going to now be even more angry. They've all screwed each other at the title shots. And that's why either Legado are going to win it before Mania, or they're going to keep it on the Profits until Mania. By the way, if Pretty Deadly win tonight, I guarantee you Legado will win the title before Mania as well.
Oh yeah,
right?
Probably. You're 100% right if Pretty Deadly win, but unfortunately, I don't think you're correct.
But even still, I think it's a 5-way, even if the Street Profits.
We just need to get that musical. Just put that on at WrestleMania. Put that on at WrestleMania.
I've been trying to get Harley Cameron involved. I've been making calls. I've been doing all of this, right? It's not happening. They won't release it. It's like the Sami Zayn documentary. Some things are just too special to be released.
Maybe it'll be on WWE Vault at some point.
I've got to, hopefully. By the way, I just realized Cody's going to come out, Punk's going to come out, and then they're going to say about the favor and it's in the contract, and then they're going to do the contract signing maybe. Oh, please no.
I'm not going to lie.
Please him.
I'm not opposed to Punk getting his first WrestleMania main event. Selfishly, I'd rather see him get his first WrestleMania main event next year in New Orleans, because I'm planning to go to that. But look, I wouldn't be absolutely loving him being added into this match, but he deserves a WrestleMania main event. So if it does happen, then he deserves it at least.
I said for Pretty Deadly, the musical, I want WWE and AEW involved. Screw it. Let's get Aiden English and get TNA involved as well. Let's get everybody together for it. But
let's get Rusev in so he can start singing Rusev Day again.
Absolutely. It's gonna be the greatest crossover since the Avengers. But we've got 90 seconds left. Let's talk about Collision, because it is a stacked card. We've got Top Flight versus Brian Keith and Big Bill. We have Wheeler Yuta versus Dax Harwood. Mercedes Moné will be in action on Collision. And Jamie Hayter is facing Queen Aminata. I'm excited for that. And Jay White is versing Kevin Knight. Collision has actually been in really good form lately. What have your thoughts been on it, Archie?
Yeah, I actually agree. I think Collision has been fairly enjoyable. Last year I wasn't a massive fan of it, and I've got to be honest, I wasn't watching it regularly. But obviously this year I'm doing the Wrestling Premier League table, so kind of obligated to watch it. But I have enjoyed it, and this week's going to be no different. It's always awesome to see Mercedes in action in the ring. Jay White versus Kevin Knight, by the way, give that some time, because that is going to... I think a lot of people are sleeping on that. Kevin Knight. Tony Khan, give him the contract. Give him the contract now. And sign Kushida while you're at it, because they'd be a fantastic addition to the tag team division.
Or just make a women's tag team division too and sign some women's tag teams as well.
I saw that debate today.
But
no, I agree with you. Don't worry.
But I make beat to saying Collision has had some bangers, absolutely. And in an hour and 16 minutes time, it's Friday Night SmackDown. I'm excited for it. Gonna be a fun weekend, no doubt about it. And also, of course, this Sunday, David versus Chaos. If you've not seen David's hype video, he has cut a promo on Chaos. It's on our Instagram story. It's linked there, so you can check it out. Absolutely. It's a great promo by him. But in the King and Queen of the Quiz this Sunday, 8 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, and those times are right. Thank you, Archie, for joining me and saving me here today. And we will see you guys, same place, same place, different time tomorrow. These time zones are confusing me. Back to the normal time tomorrow. See you guys then. Peace.